Hey everyone.
Hi folks, how you doing?
How much savings for retirement? How much should you be saving for retirement? Well, we're going to go over, this is part 2 of the letter that we received, a comment. And the first part we talked about how old is too old to be a nomad. And we promised you that on Thursday we were going to get a video together for you on how much money, because JD also talked about money. But first, I just want to let y'all know that we just spent 5 hours on the road today.
In 96-degree temperatures.
That's right, yes. And so, but we want to get this out to you, so bear with us.
This will be totally unedited.
Yes. And we're in an area that has extreme heat to it, but we had to come here. I'll tell you later why we had to come here.
Right.
But yeah, we drove for 5 hours to get here. It was a necessary drive. So it's like later afternoon. Abby's been walked. We've been fed. I do have a Coca-Cola. It's one thing that's kind of like zipping me. Don't normally drink soda. Love my Coke, but I don't drink it very often though. But yeah, so here's yours. Here's ours. We're gonna share
she
them.
already drank some of it. Ooh.
I wiped it up for you.
I'll have a sip, please.
Okay. So I think it would be appropriate. We're going to quickly read the letter again in case you did not see the last video on that. So without further ado.
Well, just a little bit of ado.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I feel it's necessary for me to sing. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. Maybe that's a good intro for the letter and for what we're going to talk about.
Do you know the words?
Absolutely not.
I do.
Oh.
So, you want me to sing it? You want to join in?
No, that's not necessary. It just occurred to me in drinking the Coke.
I'd like to teach the world to sing. No. Oh, it isn't. I'd like to buy. No, that's not. I'd like to buy the world a home and furnish it with love.
Oh my God.
With apple tree and honeybees and snow white turtle doves.
It's the real thing.
I know it.
All right.
All righty. But remember Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
There you go.
Let's get on with it.
Let's read the letter.
So I am going to read the letter now. That won't work. All right, we're going to do it this way.
Remember, we've been traveling all day. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. This is the letter. I don't mean to be a downer, right? But I'm just shocked at how so many people in this world do not save for retirement, starting with their first adult job. I am not talking about people in poverty with 5 kids. Does having 5 kids mean that you're in poverty?
I don't know, but I raised 4 by myself because my husband was killed in a car accident. It wasn't like I just, had kids out of wedlock or anything, So I had 4 of them, Go ahead.
All right. Although at some point, people should be saving, even if it's $25 a week. There is no shame in living in a van, but let's get real, people. Maybe you could live in a van when you're in your 60s or younger, but we all get old, and having to deal with the climate and everything else in your 70s, 80s, or older, that is unrealistic. Horse hockey. Anyway, and you don't have to be a high wage earner to save $160,000 or $450,000 over the period of working for 45 years. Again, whether you make $30K a year or $100K a year, if you put back money and let it grow, it works. I can't believe she
I know, it's okay.
was like, I could do a lot with $160,000. That sounded like a 5-year-old. Maybe living in a van, you could make that last for about 20 years, but not if you are not a nomad. Thank you for advocating being healthy, but even, why is he afraid to say your dang name? Sorry.
I don't know. I think it's just a disrespect. He wants to kind of be disrespectful, but
Thank you for advocating being healthy, but even the healthiest of people eventually cannot live in a van unless maybe they have their own land where they can have a home base or a trailer.
I don't get that. But
most people aren't even safe drivers in their 80s. Wow. I wish someone would advocate for van lifers to save so they don't have to live a miserable life in their ending years. Oh, boo-hoo. Living in a van, I can't help it. I just cannot help it.
Isn't it great? He's funny.
Living in a van should be a choice when you are younger, or a temporary thing on your journey for exploration or temporary hard times. Or temporary for hard times. Even if it's temporary from age 60 to 70, but to think that you can do it if you live longer, it's just not realistic and setting people up to fail.
Okay, well, we wanted to tackle this letter because we felt like, we get letters and we get zinged quite a bit. And even before Paul came on, I got zung. Zinged, is it zung? Is zung?
I think it should be
past
zung.
tense
Yes,
of zing. He's, this guy's a true zing bot. Oh yeah, he just wanted to insult everybody. So we're going to talk about this, but we're going to talk about the financial aspect of it. How much savings for retirement? How much should people save for retirement? Well, can I read something too?
But of course.
It really reminded me of a parable in Scripture. And it is the parable of the rich man's barn. You guys remember that? When I read this, I thought, wow, this reminds me of the rich man's barn. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven was like a rich man who planted his fields. The rich man's fields grew much wheat and barley for making grain. And he said to himself, I have so much. I do not have enough room in my old barn for all this wheat and barley. I will take down the old barn and build a new, bigger one. So the man had his servant make a new and bigger barn. The man put all of his wheat and barley in the barn. He felt very pleased with how much he had. Oh, yeah.
Kind of patting himself on the back a little bit there.
He said, I have so much, I can rest now. Oh, where'd it go? I will eat, drink, and be happy and have a party. That night, God said to the rich man, you are a fool. Tonight you will die. Your time on this earth is over. Now who will get all the wheat and barley? Well, even if you're a Christian or not a Christian, most of you know that. It's like, if you're Christian, you really do, you really savor it. But, it's sort of like if you're not, I guess you read Confucius, right? It is a parable. Confucius says, Jesus says, right? Mm-hmm. And so that it's a well-known parable. And so my question was, if there is a collapse, because even the experts and the executives so high up there on Wall Street say, right, there's a storm coming, people. What is, and this is a legitimate question, I'm not trying to make fun of it, but maybe you can tell me what will happen to the money that all these people have saved up for the ones who really did. And we'll give you some stats on how much the averages that people have saved for money. Right. For retirement. So what will happen? So
who knows if it's in the stock market? If it's in precious metals, who knows what's going to happen there? If it's under your mattress, is that dollar bill going to be worth as much as it was 6 months ago? Who knows? Well,
I don't think it is so far. The money that we have in the bank, if we're hoarding money, and they call hoarding money just sticking everything in your savings account. That's called hoarding money. That's not using your money wisely. That's like you're hoarding money. Putting it in the mattress, just sticking it in the bank, and there's no interest right now. It's not growing.
Oh, listen, I hate to tell you, but we're talking a half to 3/4 to 1% to 1.5%. Now, I mean, you
Is that like 50 cents?
talk about, yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway,
So, yeah, I mean, so if there is a collapse, I mean, what happened in 1929? What happened in, what was it, 79? And what happened in, 2007, 2008? I mean,
Yeah.
what happened during these recessions? What happened to people's money?
people lost a lot of money.
Well, that's what I'm kind of, yeah.
And we found when, I should say, when Lee looked up many of these
Stats?
thank you very much.
Yeah.
It's surprising that a lot of people don't have any money
Right.
put away
Yeah.
to lose. So, and you know, that's
Yeah.
to my friend here, his point that everybody should be saving. But a lot of people are not doing it, and you'll find that when we start reading
Yeah.
some of these stats.
Well, did he actually maybe mean not just saving but investing? Putting it in your 401k so that it invests?
Oh, I think so.
Because
Sure.
there's a lot of new truth scam that is being revealed on these 401ks that they really aren't what they thought they were going to be. And I can't quote it. I did see a commercial on that on 401ks. 401ks was never meant to just save money. It was for something else, and a lot of people are relying on these 401ks. And
That and Social Security, I assume.
right, but even the 401ks aren't as foolproof as
Right.
once thought that they would be.
Much of that money is invested in the stock market again.
yeah,
so
okay.
what's going to happen to
Yeah.
it? Who knows?
Yeah, okay. I came up with an idea that, in my mind, and I'm not this I'm not a financial, big financial person. I've lived kind of a simple life, more of a, I guess, an artist type, and a real people person. But finances, my parents never really taught me finances, and I just didn't have the time to do it. Although I did start out with, in high school, did a lot of accounting data processing. I was in one of the first computer classes offered. That's when they were great big things, and I'm serious, yeah. And in that class, we used to do all the data processing for all the school attendance. And we had the key punch. We would sit there and do the key punch. All of the teachers would turn in, and the attendance things, and we would, yeah. So I was one of the first. That's probably why I do love technology.
Yeah,
I love technology.
you sure do.
If you know where that song, I love technology, but not Napoleon Dynamite. Remember that at the end. I love that guy. Okay, so yeah, Napoleon's brother. But anyways, okay, if you know that, you're going to be giggling right now. I love technology. But I think that you need as much for retirement as your socioeconomic status is. If you belong to like country clubs and you're golfing, and there's a lot of you that are, you're going to need a lot more than somebody like me, because I don't go for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I've never played golf in my life. Have you?
Oh, I played a lot of golf.
I have. Well,
I'm one of those.
I know. I played putt-putt, and that is it. Yeah. Maybe I should have played golf. Maybe that helps out, because you're out there talking about finances, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah, you're rubbing elbows, and talking about business. I know. So, do you all agree? Like, if you, whatever you're used to, I can live off of kind of very little. I don't want to, but I can. I can do that. I'm so frugal. I can pinch a penny big time, but I don't really like to do that anymore. I like to, have certain things. And,
Why, sure.
yeah, and I've got, you want to have a good savings in case your van breaks down, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, as far as one other thing, he did mention that, and he's probably right on this, that the amount of money that you save might be okay as a nomad, but maybe not for the long haul. If you want to live in a, like, you don't have family and you need to go to a nursing home and you've got all that expense, that can be expensive, right?
It can be astronomically expensive.
Yeah, if you want to live a nice life in a nice nursing home or a retirement community, something like that, yeah. I mean, that's going to be really expensive, but that was never my goal. Should it have been my goal?
Well, it wasn't my goal either, because I don't want to spend my final years in a nursing home.
I know.
And I do want to mention just quickly,
Yeah.
Lee, that for those of you who have not seen our video from 3 days ago,
Yes, it was our last one.
we discussed at length the things about age that this
Yes.
gentleman wrote the letter about, or the
Yeah.
comment. We beat that horse to death, pretty much.
Yeah, and so did y'all with your
I mean, I'm
comments,
74. Lee is very close to that 70-year-old
yeah.
threshold.
Yeah,
So
that's a
we
trip, isn't
believe
it?
me, it's nothing that we didn't care about and didn't address. But you'd have to watch that previous video.
Right.
So
Yeah, being 70s are going to be a real trip. You know, I mean, this is the first time I turned 70. I know that you've already done it, and a lot of you have already turned to 70. But
you're as old as you feel, or as young as you feel.
see, that's where I talked about. I think that it's all up here. Don't let the old in. You know, that means don't shut the door and don't let old people. Don't think that. Don't let any old people. No, but don't let the old into your being.
And work its way into your
I know,
brain,
just
and
be.
just think, oh, woe is me, I'm 71 years old now and I'm getting a little rickety. No, come on, you guys know that, and by far that doesn't happen. So
a lot of young people think. No, remember, what you hold in your head, you hold in your hand. Yes,
very true.
I know. So if you do become very seriously ill, and you're going to have a lot of bills,
expenses,
medical bills, but doesn't Medicare take care of a lot of it?
You know, I can't even tell you what the percentage is.
Okay.
I know that we have to kick in a portion of it, and if you have Medicare Advantage plans of some kind, they'll kick in a portion of it too. But as far as the percentages, I don't know.
So if you're on Medicare and you become so poverty-stricken, can you go for Medicare and jump into the Medicaid? I wonder if that is a possibility. To jump right into the Medicaid.
Can't answer that question,
because
Lee.
you know, I mean, in all reality, I mean, I was set. I could have been on Medicaid this whole time, which they kind of pay for everything. Medicare doesn't, but Medicaid pays for pretty much everything. Yeah. So, but I just chose not to. I don't know. I just didn't want to go that route. Yeah, I wanted to do the Medicare. Yeah, and they do take out from my Medicare. Yeah, they take it out of my. With what I get on Social Security, I would be getting like 160 more. I could do a month. That would be great, but I'm paying for Medicare, and I never go to the doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, with COVID, when that hit, it's like I ain't going to walk into any place. No, thank you. No. Yeah. They want to test you, and they want to stick things in you. So, yeah. So those were the little key points that I wanted to make that we had talked about.
Well, should we get into some of these
bullet points?
Specific stats?
Bullets, yes. So,
talk about it.
As far as the parable and what you're going to do if there is a collapse, what happens to your money, you need whatever your socioeconomic status really has been most of your life. And what do you do if you get seriously sick? Leave comments if you have any of those, because I'm very interested in all of that, on what you think about that. But yeah, let's get our stats going here. Let me open we're trying to do this the best we can without having to do editing, because tomorrow I've got an appointment in the morning. I gotta go.
Speaking of expenses,
I know. My air conditioner ain't working. It's so good. So this looks like my granddad's restaurant. I gotta go. I gotta go and have it looked at. And I wanted to go to a place where I trusted somebody. So we drove 5 hours to get there. Because where we were, it would probably be so expensive. Okay, so let's get this open. Thanks for waiting for us to do this so I don't have to edit this so much. Okay. You want to read one? I'll read one. You want to go back and forth?
That sounds like a good way to do it.
Okay, so you go first, darling. Age before beauty.
Oh.
Oh, talking about it.
Okay, number 1. Women, which is not surprising, have smaller retirement savings overall, with an average of $57,000 saved for retirement compared to a man's $118,000.
And that's an average. Yes.
Right.
Average in the country, yeah. Okay. So what do you think of all that? Well, that makes sense. So a lot of women don't work as much because they're staying home. You know, and they're raising children for, yeah.
Absolutely.
The median retirement savings for all workers. That means all workers. Is that young workers and retired? Oh, for all workers. So are they? They're still working right now. These aren't retired people. The median retirement savings for all workers is $97,000. That's pretty good.
I would think all ages, still working, not working, everything.
Oh, okay. But I will say, as we go through this, you'll see I wanted to bullet point these, that it depends on which website it went on, because it's all different. Yeah, everybody had a different number, so I don't know how they got it.
Savings expectations for a comfortable retirement increased 10% to $100.4 million in 2021. Now, whose savings expectations are those? I'm not real sure, but it wasn't my expectation, unfortunately. Wasn't even anything close.
No, comfortable is kind of a relative term.
Yes,
yeah, I mean, comfort to one person might not be comfort to another person.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah. Over half, 55% of workers plan to work into retirement.
And I imagine that some of those people want to work. They want to be busy. They want to get out of the house and have something to do. But a lot of people, it's a necessity.
Yeah.
And they have to do it to make it.
Well, we're retired and look at us. We're working, aren't we, honey?
Working.
We're working. We're working it. Work it, girl.
Yeah.
Work it, guy. Okay. 36% of older homeowners spent at least 1/3 of their income on housing. But get this, compared to 76% of older renters. So get this. So if you owned a home, you spent 36% of your income on your housing, but renters are spending 76%.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I remember one of the commenters, he said, well, why would you even buy a house so that you can be in a house and then you got to pay for it? And what good is it? And then later you have all this. Well, with these statistics, it probably is better to own a home if you're going to be living in a bricks and sticks. So
I would think the length of time you've owned that home has a lot to do with that too.
Because maybe the 36% might be taxes or maintenance, things like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You're next.
Nearly a quarter of women, that's 24% actually, have $10,000 or less saved for retirement, compared to 14% of men in the same savings category.
Okay. Well,
And that category is savings for retirement, of course.
right. So, they have $10,000 or less. But that's of the women who, So there's 24% of the women and 14% are men that only have 10,000 or less. So that just coincides with that women don't save as much for whatever. There's so many variables to that. Maybe nobody taught them, and maybe they don't care, or they just don't. They're living more in poverty anyways because
And just the fact that quite often they're home raising a family and aren't able to work. That's going to affect it in a large way too.
Exactly. So, next, 48% of workers believe they don't make enough money to adequately save for retirement. Those are workers, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, especially with COVID, I mean, are you kidding me? I mean,
that was tough.
That was tough because a lot of people lost a lot of their savings right there. And they just, I think everybody's worn out from this COVID thing. I think everybody's just mentally worn out. It's like, what's next? You know, now there's monkeypox coming up. Oh boy, you know. Yeah, so I think it's just a matter, I think people are worn out. And I think they're thinking more negatively on things. Yeah.
Very well could be.
Yeah. Okay, next.
Let's see. Are we at 22%?
Yes.
22% of Americans have less than $5,000 saved for retirement. And 15% have no retirement savings whatsoever.
This is all of Americans. Now, see, I think they keep putting it in a certain way. I'd like to turn that around. 22% of Americans have less. So how many do have more than that, though? Then let's go on a more positive note. I mean...
Well, it must be 78%.
Thank you. I know. So 78% have more than, you know. So some of these we could turn around and make it, you know, the glass half full instead of half empty.
Exactly.
But that is pretty serious, though. Yeah, they have less than 5,000. But okay, next, 70% of millennials are stressed and anxious about saving for retirement. I think a lot of them with this COVID thing over the past, you know, couple of years, and it's just really been, I think it's been hard on them. I mean, here they are just getting started in life, or, you know, like getting on with their adult lives. A lot of millennials are still in their mid-30s, and, you know, they still have these hopes.
It's like the engine hasn't started yet because they've been knocked down by diseases and other stuff, so it's tough.
Right, yeah.
It's tough.
And then you sit there and you put somebody in their home and don't let them come out for a while unless they have a mask on. I mean, it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. Okay, next.
And of course, we have to remember that not everyone has the same advantages while growing up.
Exactly.
We're all different. We come from different upbringing and
socioeconomic classes.
Exactly, again.
Yes, and we all have different strengths and weaknesses in our thinking. Not everybody is a friggin' genius, JD. Speaking to the guy who wrote the letter. Not everybody has the same mental capacity. I've studied this and I've talked about this. Do we just leave them behind and kind of kick them in the ditch? No, really. I mean, do we just? They can't walk on the sidewalk. You walk in the ditch, like the Germans did, just because they don't have the, you know. And I'm not saying that. Don't take it that way, but it's almost as if it would be the same thing. You know, well, you don't amount to anything. Get out of the way. You're just taking up space, and you're just eating resources. You're taking up resources. No, not everybody. I'm not even just talking about Down syndrome and things like that. I'm talking about people that just don't have the same mental capacity. Not everybody can go to college. Some people couldn't even, you know, well, look at Forrest Gump. You know, what was his IQ? 76. Wasn't it just right on that line? Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of Forrest Gumps out there. But he did make it big, didn't he? Yes, he did.
He did.
He did. Okay, next. In 2020, the average monthly Social Security benefit for retired workers was $1,544. That doesn't even pay rent.
Obviously, that's male, female, everybody included.
Yeah. Okay. And that does not pay rent because the average rent for a one bedroom is $1,700.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
The next one is of retired people that are already retired, U.S. adults, 57% rely on Social Security income alone.
That's more than half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we've seen, the average Social Security income won't pay the average rent. So
I
they're in
know
trouble.
it. I
They're in
know.
trouble.
So we almost have to become nomads. I mean, in all seriousness, yes. Some of us, we just, if we're gonna be poor and not be able to buy food, because I'm gonna tell you, I didn't look up the stats, but I think the average food stamp allotment for somebody on Social Security is really only like $32 a month. That's the average for food stamps. Food stamps now kind of solely go for families with children, I think. Might be.
That was my understanding. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't always that way, but over the course of probably the past 10 years, they've really cut down on food stamps for the elderly. Yeah. Okay, more than half of workers plan to work in retirement. Maybe we already did that one. Okay. Starts out of those who plan to work.
Of those who plan to work in retirement, 35% list a lack of retirement savings as the cause for having to work in retirement.
Right.
That's really too bad.
But the next one's pretty good news. 72% of listed reasons for working in retirement were healthy aging reasons. Oh yeah. Including staying active, 47%, keeping the brain alert, 33%, maintaining a sense of purpose, 24%, and maintaining social connections, 21%. And that's pretty good news, everybody. Yeah.
And for those of us that are of the baby boomer group, baby boomers' average savings for retirement, over and above Social Security, of course, is $38,000.
Well, I do question that, hon, because all the other stats say something different. So on this website, that's what they said. I mean, that's a whole large group of people.
Yes,
and that's pretty much all of us who are retired right now.
Okay, and the last statistic that we'll read for you. 2022 is just starting, and we still haven't said goodbye to that terrifying pandemic, which has affected people's finances more than anyone could have expected.
Yeah.
It's still going on. They're still finding different, what do they call them, strains or whatever. And then the monkeypox comes along.
Yeah, now it's monkeypox. That doesn't have anything to do with COVID,
Right.
Yeah.
So it's still going on. It's certainly not
And they're still
finished.
talking about limiting us, and they're still talking about demanding masks in certain places. They're still talking about these things. So no wonder the millennials are so kind of stressed out, because they want to get going on their life, and they just keep getting held back. I did read a statistic that I didn't put down there. The Generation Z, which is like my grandchildren, like yours, those are Generation Z, right? Yeah, they're actually starting to get going on their. They're kind of, they want to go on their savings.
They're on the bandwagon.
They want to get on the bandwagon right away. Yeah, they do. So there's hope on that. So hope you enjoyed this. It's just leave in the comments what you all think about all of this. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that we've gone through a ton of statistics here.
Yeah.
But hopefully it just allows you to say, where do I fall in that?
Yeah.
To see, are you ahead of the curve or are you behind the curve?
Yeah.
And if you're behind the curve, maybe you can do something about that. Maybe not.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I would like to hear something I would like to know. And if you would possibly share, is when you feel that you are at the point where you can't be a nomad anymore, or imagine if you're in a house, imagine you were a nomad and you think like, wow, I just can't get around anymore. What will you do? What is your plan? Do you have a plan? I think that will probably be our next video.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that.
Great question.
Yeah, I want to know because, well, we talked about it, and you know, we can always get a place and do it just part-time. Yeah. And if anything goes wrong, we actually even talked about that. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll help each other.
There are many different
yes.
ways to deal with that. And,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah. So what do you plan on doing with that? Will it be with your family? Will it be a nursing home? What do you think? Well, depend. I know it depends on whether it's a serious, you know,
Illness or
right. I mean that, you know, but notwithstanding that there's a serious illness, you just don't feel that you can do it or you want to do it anymore. What are you going to do? Yeah. So I think that's because we all can get ideas from this, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, so here's a chance, honey, on our GoFundMe. We started a GoFundMe, and we want to try it. Remember, we had the solutions. I want to put my money where my mouth is. That's what we wanted to do. Well, Susan Wagner reached out to me on Facebook Messenger, and we became friends, and she told me her story. She did not ask me to do a GoFundMe for her. I offered, and I said, wow, this might be a good GoFundMe, and we can get something started, because my goal is to help one person at a time, just one person. And so I'm going to leave the link in comments for her GoFundMe, and let me just quickly, you can help jump in whenever you want to, Paul, on her story.
Well, the thing, and Lee, tell me if you don't think we should go here, but the gentleman that one of the three, I believe, stories that we told a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
The gentleman that we were a number of you said, oh, that sounds great. He sounds like a good candidate for
Right.
a GoFundMe. He politely refused.
Yeah,
He said,
didn't
you know
want
what? I'd rather not be involved. And I don't know if that was, you know, he was from Europe. Came over here at a later age and so forth. So I don't know if it's better, if they feel it's better to not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Be helped in that fashion or what? But he refused to participate,
Yeah,
and
and
that's
that's such a
fine.
shame.
That's his prerogative.
It's such a shame because his van keeps overheating, so all of his friends have to help him. So I guess he's not deficient on asking for help. He just didn't want us to help him, so it's fine. But then Susan appeared. I think it's a very worthy. She fell, and she's 59 years old, and she's a nomad, and she was living in her. It's a Yukon, GMC Yukon. It's a 2005, and things start going wrong with it. She fell and literally broke her wrist in 5 places. She's had surgeries on her wrist. She can't, and it's her right hand. And she owes $4,000 on her van still, and there's about $2,000 in repairs. It's literally just parked out in no man's land, and she's had a hard time getting any groceries or anything. She lives with her dog. And I think she said that her income, because she had to retire from, she was a social worker. She had to retire from that. I think it was because of her, so she just retired from it. She only gets like $435 a month. And so I think it'd be worthy. If we all gave $5, if everybody gave her $5, oh my gosh. Think about that. And we can and then we move on and let's find another one.
That's right.
Let's do one at a time.
Yeah.
So if you could do that, if you could help me out, don't give me a super thanks. Let's give it to Susan. We just want to help her. And I do want to mention, I know, I put it out in my name that we're featuring her. I will not take a 1 red cent from that. It's all going to go to her. I'm going to make sure that it all goes to her. And she has agreed to spend the money that way, get it paid off, and get going. And then maybe she can at least move around a little bit. Because, okay, $435, that's not very much.
Right.
But remember, when I first started as a nomad, I was only making like $560. That's all I made because I was on survivor's benefits. Because I was, wasn't retired yet. I didn't want to. my retirement yet. So please, yes, let's help Susan. She's a cool gal. And on our Facebook group, somebody had mentioned, well, that's not, she's a millionaire. No, she's not. She got the wrong person. There's other people with the same name. I'm like, no, that's not her. We did a little
Believe
bit
us, that has been straightened out.
Yes, and
it
I
is
was not happy about that. I mean, oh my gosh, at least find that out before you. Yeah, Susan, she's real, and I'm going to post her some pictures of her right now so you can see, and then look in comments on the GoFundMe. Let's go. Let's get going.
Yeah.
Okay, but please subscribe. Give me thumbs up. Don't help me out this week. Let's help Susan out. Oh, we love you guys so much, and we want to just give you good information, and we just like spending time with y'all.
That's for sure.
Yes. So.
All right, folks. I'm going to blot my sweating brow.
It's hot in here.
I haven't felt 96 degrees in quite some time, and my body is not liking it one bit. So
I'm gonna have to get my spray bottle. I'll scritch out.
Yeah, I should have had the spray bottle here.
I know. I'll go get mine. I'll keep spraying them. I'll just.
Yeah, that would feel good. Okay, folks. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye
We love
now.
you.